All right, Pickle, let's get to some headlines. And let's start in Huntsville.
Dateline.
Huntsville. Sam Houston has announced they've reached a 4-year contract extension with Coach K.C. Keeler.
Let's go.
He is there, of course. Sam Houston moving up to the FBS ranks and joining Conference USA to start the 2023 season. And actually, Keeler was kind of running out of time. He was I don't know if you knew this, but his contract was due to expire at the end of June.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not realize that.
Yes. It was due to expire at the end of June. Now look, we had not heard any big deal about this. So they were going to come to some sort of terms regardless, it seems like. I don't think K.C. Keeler was on the hot seat or anything like that. But they were basically flying without a net. But there has to be. He's been there a long time. He's been there. He's been there. Now he's in his 10th season there in Huntsville. This does seem like, I don't know. I haven't talked with Coach Keeler. This seems like the kind of place he wants to be his last stop, his retirement place. Not that he's an old man, but this felt like this was going to get done. But I did find that shocking. That he was just he was going to be done. Like, he was going to be out of a contract at the end of June. They have reached a 4-year contract extension to 2027. Sources tell Dave Campbell's Texas Football's Mike Craven. It is going to it is not to exceed $3.25 million over the life of the agreement. They're moving up to the FBS. He's the all-time winningest coach in FCS playoff history. He's the only coach to win a national title at 2 different FCS teams. Of course, he won it at Delaware before he came over and won it at Sam Houston in that 2020-2021 season there in the spring. He's won 259 games in his career. Among active coaches in the Division I level, that's 4th.
Yeah.
Okay? Nick Saban, Mac Brown, Brian Kelly. That's the list.
Seems like a good company to have.
And then K.C. Keeler is the fourth winningest coach in Division I right now. And so Sam Houston has locked in K.C. Keeler. Again, I didn't think he was necessarily going anywhere, but certainly he's happy to get a little bit of a raise there, as Sam Houston and K.C. Keeler have agreed to a 4-year contract extension. Other news, and I hope you'll go to TexasFootball.com and check out Corey Hogue's weekly piece, The Blitz. If you've never clicked on that, basically, Corey just takes. I'm an old school newspaper guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I love newspapers. It's a notes column, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I would love reading like the Sunday notes column. Peter Gammons was famous for it in newspapers writing about baseball. It's kind of like Peter King does with Monday Morning Quarterback. It is just a notes column about non-FBS football in the state of Texas. So I hope you'll go through. There's just a lot of things in there. Things like if you're keeping an eye on like recruiting at the non-FBS ranks, like there's commitments about Lamar getting a commitment, Prairie View getting a signing from a community college quarterback.
It just
shows
like how connected Corey is with all
Yes.
these programs, because it stretches far and wide.
Yeah, like Tarleton had a couple guys who were invited to NFL rookie camps. If you want this kind of wide-ranging look at non-FBS football in the state of Texas, the Blitz is for you. But there's one thing in particular that caught my eye. Ashley Pickle, did you see who Abilene Christian picked up this week?
I did not.
I guess last week. Abilene Christian, this is reported by our own Corey Hogue, received a commitment from Hut Graham.
How about
Do you remember
that?
Hut Graham?
I do
the
remember.
former Gunner quarterback who went to Texas Tech. He's transferring from Texas Tech after a redshirt freshman season. He was kind of on the Red Raiders scout team as defensive back, but he's going to compete for a spot. Corey says he could compete for a quarterback spot or a defensive back spot there at ACU. He played both ways there at Gunner, but Hut Graham is transferring
a big get.
to Abilene Christian. Oh, yeah,
that's one of those that falls under the category of that guy rules.
He does rule. No, Hut Graham was awesome there at Gunner. So now he is heading to Abilene Christian where he will be a Wildcat. Keep an eye on that. But Hut Graham, the newest member of the Abilene Christian Wildcats. Elsewhere, we had some breaking news early last week. And that is that Lake Worth is looking for a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy Welch has announced his retirement, announced it Monday afternoon. He is the winningest coach in Lake Worth history. He's been there for 5 years. He's got a 35-23 record. He's been in coaching for 35 years. He in fact spent 5 years in the college at the junior college level at Fort Scott. In Kansas before he came to Texas. He was on the Kansas State staff for a season before he came when his brother Jack Welch became the head coach at Copperas Cove. He was at Cove for 24 years and got a head coaching job there at Lake Worth. 2021, probably the high water mark where they went 9-3 before last year, where they went 10-3 and went to the regional semifinals before falling to eventual state champ China Spring. Matt Stepp, of course, reported this on TexasFootball.com as he is wont to do. He speculates that we will see an internal hiring. Again,
At this point in the year.
my overall take on this is that at this point from, I would say about tax day, April 15th on, the smart money is on an internal hire. So Lake Worth will have a new head coach as Tracy Welch has retired after 5 seasons there with the Bullfrogs. Congratulations to him on an outstanding career. By the way, speaking of which, we'll be recording a new episode of Tep and Step this afternoon. Matt, if you're watching, this is your reminder that we're recording an episode of Tep and Step this afternoon. So make sure you check that out. Look for that in your feed. 7-on-7 happened this weekend, Pickle. There are actually a decent number of state qualifying tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
The Division I, especially in the Division I ranks. There were 3 of them, I want to say. Is that right? 2 or 3? 2 or 3. I think there were 3. There were 2. I'm right. One in Houston, Cy
I was
Fair.
going to say this upcoming week is like the mega slew of them.
The Cy Fair East SQT, a pair of qualifiers. Cy Creek is in heading to College Station with a win over Houston Lamar in the state qualifying round, and the Woodlands is heading back to College Station as they are through to College Station. The Arlington SQT had a pair of commitments as well. Arlington Seguin, maybe a little home field advantage. They are heading towards. They are heading into the College Station as they qualify. And then I don't know if you saw this. The other qualifier from the Arlington SQT.
Oh goodness,
Folks, the Coppell Cowboys are College Station bound.
Let's go.
They're heading back to College Station, state 7-on-7 tournament. Am I proud? Yeah. But you know what? Unfinished business. Unfinished business.
Ugh.
In it to win it.
Sure.
Cowboy fight never dies. And then Division II, and we'll hear from one of the coaches who participated in this, Jeff Reardon, coming up here in just a moment. But Pleasant Grove. Pleasant Grove is heading back to state 7-on-7. Matt Stepp was out there. He was in our Slack over the weekend saying that Pleasant Grove passes the eyeball test.
Mm-hmm.
Not surprising considering some of the dudes they've got there, but Pleasant Grove, if you're heading to College Station for the state 7-on-7 tournament, you will get to see the Hawks of Pleasant Grove as they've qualified for state. Finally, I want to direct you back to TexasFootball.com for another piece by Corey Hogue. It's just the Corey Hogue Hour. He's got a great piece up about NIL at the Division II and the Division III level. We talk so much about Arch Manning and what kind of NIL deal he's getting. Of course, Quinn Ewers was very famously had a big NIL deal. This, that, and the other, right? What you know, A&M and what they're paying on the NIL side, and that's such a hot topic at the FBS level. But our own Corey Hogue kind of put on his reporter hat, and kind of talked about what NIL collectives are going to look like in the Division II and the Division III ranks. Specifically, he's talking about is that going to be the norm there at the Division II and Division III? He posits yes, and he's talked with a number of coaches who said that they've already started working on that. But essentially, there was one source who said that basically that the collectives for athletes are going to be that's going to be preferable for that. But basically, he is saying that it is going to become the norm there to have for every one of these schools to have a 501c3, an NIL collective that is from which they're going to be able to pay out the NIL money, the name, image, and likeness money. It's going to be very, very interesting. But he's got one coach. He says, I'm just going to quote. I hope you go to TexasFootball.com and read the piece. Says, quote, "The challenge is figuring out a way to do a collective to where the NCAA won't consider it a benefit. The first school that's able to figure that out will have a big advantage over the rest of us. The rules are different for Division III schools, so it won't work the same way for them as it does for FCS rules," which is very true. Anyway, hope you'll go check that out if you're interested in how kind of the NIL is going to trickle down to the Division II and Division III ranks. Corey Hoke's had a great piece up on TexasFootball.com. Hope you'll go check that out.